Thanks for coming over. This is Amodeus. Today's Dungeon Hunter champion is a viewer box review for Multodex from GucciGang. So thank you, Multodex, for the great conversation. It was really cool to talk about all the different stuff we were talking about. So for everyone else, Multodex was incredibly great to share his box, his mistakes, and what he's learned since he started playing. And Multodex has been playing since launch, but this was his first Moba game, so he admits he learned a lot about what not to do first. But really it comes down to three things. So first one is patience. He says everybody should wait to have the fodder. Don't just use your light dark champions or Max Level Fuzzflepuffs just to fodder up something that you want to build, right? Which kind of leads into that next object, which is stop. Ignore the shiny objects. He spent a lot of time chasing Flavors of the Week champs, or even really good champions that were for specific uses, maybe for arena defense or for guild wars, right? Just ignore those, build your core teams, which is a pretty common message from everything that we've been through and talked about. So that's really awesome. Now, one thing that Multodex said that really kind of caught my attention, obviously, is community matters. So he learned so much once he kind of plugged into the community and started watching our videos, other people's videos, going to Discord. That was a huge one, being able to interact with people, ask questions, but actually being involved. He was stunned at how big a difference community matters. And I know we talk about that as a community all of the time. Like, you have questions, I have questions, but this person over here has answers. And if we're all talking together, eventually we all have the answers, right? So he really thought that that was a big one, and I gotta concur. I think that's huge. I learned so much from listening to other people talk and reading what other people are writing and seeing how other people are taking different approaches to champions. And that's one of the reasons I love these viewer box reviews so much, because I'm like, why did you build that? And then they go and explain it, and I'm like, holy cow, that just does exactly what I would want like this other champion to do, but you've done it with this one. So it's really cool, and I think that that's going to be one of the things that we're going to see moving forward, because now he just recently got Youko, Rona, and Vimal built. So understandably, he's going to hold off for a bit on building any new champions and focus on upgrading his gear, because he's already moved beyond needing healers for ED10 and SW10. So he just needs to improve his gear quality. And with all those changes we were talking about, like, now's probably a good time to hold off on building a champ. Unless you're like me and you want to get out there and you want to have something to test, like maybe your nature mercenary. That's my bet. I'm thinking he's going to be great until they nerf him. But I think it's important to kind of, like, for a lot of people that are working on their progression towards in-game, that maybe like working on that gear, getting stuff going is really a great call, at least until we get everything hammered out and all the craziness set aside with this new balancing patch, because it's going to change a lot of mechanics. Like, me and Multodex were talking about this a lot. Like, right now there's a really heavy meta on fast DPS, right? Because that's the most efficient way to do basically everything. So there might be, with the removal of death prevention mechanics to a more damage reduction strategy, there might be more call for units like the Scions or the Tiki Warriors, who are going to have a lot more crowd control based stuff to help mitigate some of that damage right off the bat, especially in those hard pressing waves. But we'll see. Let me ask the community. I'm really curious, who do you think the next big champ is? Now, once again, we are going to ignore the shiny objects, as Multodex says. But I mean, if you look at his box, he's just got a lot of projects. So I definitely agree with him on this one. What does the community though think? Is there, like, having patch notes aren't solid yet? I understand they made a lot of changes in the last week, but who do you think, just based on everything you've seen in some of the leaks and stuff, who do you think is going to be the next big one? I'm curious, because I have so many units I'm testing out. They're all going to be max 5 stars, and I'm going to play with them a little bit, and I'll definitely share with you guys and see what I'm saying, because it's entirely possible, as Multodex pointed out, like, these things that we take for granted around DPS and Blade Masters and some of the other stuff, it can be totally changed based on what happens with these champion balances. Defense may be the new Hulk, the new monster out there. And like I said, I know we have to wait for the update, but I'm just curious what you guys are thinking. You know, I'm not saying that there's going to be a shiny object out there. I mean, it's entirely possible that everything will be perfectly balanced, as all things should be. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. But no, seriously, when I was talking to Multodex, he just brought up so many cool things. So shout out to him and to GucciGang, because it really got me thinking about maybe like breaking out some of the scions and doing some testing with them and how they work with other units, and definitely really looking at the buff debuffs that we have, because there's so many that we kind of take for granted, like as far as like maybe what's a good one that nobody really pays attention to? Oh man, you know what, I'm gonna leave that for you guys. Why don't you tell me what debuffs and buffs we need to be looking at with this new patch coming out. As always, thanks for watching the videos. Thanks to Multodex and GucciGang. Have a great day. Bye.